Okay, you may have seen this hat before. This hat is "You No See Me." Okay? And I'm sorry I didn't change my shirt. I usually try and change it from a different series of these videos, but it makes me have to go way upstairs and change my shirt. So I just changed my hat. "You No See Me." What does it mean to me today? Well, I'm going to be one of the disappeared. Okay, so the subject is, see me because I'm not going to be here. The subject is the Georgia Guidestones. Now, they were discovered already, put up around 1980, and some people say they're what the elite have come up with, what their end game is for planet Earth. They all sound really good and very logical, but the only problem is that the number one statement on the guideposts are maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Well, 500 million, and is it 6 or 8 billion people at last report that we have on the planet? So, I'm not an Illuminati rich person, so I think they plan to get rid of me. So, see me is because they're going to get rid of me and you. And if there are going to be 500,000 people left, then I'm sure they'll be the rich, elite people. It won't be the poor people or the middle class. So that was number one. I know the rest of them, they make logical sense. So, are they good or evil? Well, if you're going to reduce the population of humanity, it's just like these latest two Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame. The evil Thanos was all about Infinity War. This is a spoiler. Turn it off if you haven't watched Infinity War and you don't want to know. Okay, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. Okay, you're still here. So Infinity War, Thanos deleted half of the beings in the multiverse. Half of them were gone. So, these ones, they are going to get rid of way more than half of the people. So, it's typical Nazi eugenics or Nazi, we're the master race, and the ones that live will be the ones that live, and the rest of you, we don't need you, useless eaters. Okay, so number two is guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Well, I agree with this. I think that the way things are set up right now, if 12 or 13-year-old children can have babies, it makes no sense. So, human biology, puberty is way too early. Theoretically, that's a genetic thing about the age of puberty, if you're still talking about organic humans. And I have to jump reality boxes. In some of my videos I say, well, we're holographic projections of consciousness from God knows where, living in a super hologram. Other times I have to change your reality box and say, okay, we're organic carbon-based humans because we reproduce like the animals do. It could all be simulated in the hologram, but I'm really, I got try and stick to the topic. So anyways, having 13-year-olds that can reproduce is stupid, because everyone knows that a 13-year-old is just not capable of looking after themselves, and certainly not capable of looking after babies. And the whole idea of the monthly cycle that women are under is highly stupid. If I was a woman, well, I guess I would probably take birth control pills so I didn't have to deal with it. But if we're still talking about organic humans, you should be able to genetically engineer humans so that they don't have to have, what I thought before was if you wanted a baby, that it would be under your conscious control to release an egg when you wanted a baby. And that's the only time you would release an egg. I mean, if that one guy that can go, he's like, what does he do? He can handle cold. I can't remember. He's some foreign name. I'm not sure if it's a German or a Norwegian name or something, but he's the guy that can go out in 40 below wearing shorts and a t-shirt and he doesn't freeze, and he can go swim in ice cold water and he doesn't freeze. And I mean, some of these yogis too, they can control their body temperature, they can control their heartbeat, things that average humans cannot do. But I mean, if the yogis and this guy can do these kind of things, then why shouldn't a woman be able to consciously release an egg? Should be able to be done. And that way, if you wanted a baby, you'd have one, and if you didn't, you could screw around all you want and you wouldn't have to have chemical birth controls or accidents. And that would remove the whole abortion debate, because babies would only be born when they were wanted. And we won't talk about making babies for adrenochrome. Okay, number 3 is unite humanity with a new language. Well, I kind of like having multiple languages. I wish I could speak more languages. I mean, it's just that sometimes you get bored with one language. I get bored with one language. I think that there's not enough letters in the alphabet to make enough words, because words get boring after you've been here for so many years using the same words over and over again. You get tired of them. You want more words, so you want more letters to make more kinds of words. So I don't agree with that one. A new language, no. I think we've got enough languages, and it's nice to have lots of languages. And perhaps you can express yourself differently in different languages. They give different moods, like Italian gives you a different mood because they're always talking with their hands, and it's a fun language. English is kind of cold, and German is very cold. I mean, at least for a comic. I don't know who's it. I mean, you think of Angela Merkel. I can't think of anybody who's less exciting. Sergeant Schultz, but he spoke English in Hogan's Heroes. He was very funny. Funny Germans. Are there any funny Germans? But, like people who speak English, I mean, very boring people. Somebody somewhere said white English-speaking people, they all have got, especially the men, but the women are like giant apples or pears, and the men have got enormous bellies. So you see them on cruise ships, and they're always, all-you-can-eat food at the dinner table. So they're just picking out, and they're just great white whales on board their cruise ships. I don't know. It's like, you know, my mother used to say, I know this woman, and she let herself go after she got married. Let herself go means that, before she was married, she was thin and trim, and she looked sensational. After she got married, I mean, she didn't have to attract any more mates, any more male attention. She had her husband, so she took to food, and she just, became a two-ton Annie. If you're large and fat, I'm very sorry for you, because, at different times in my life, I have been overweight, and it's not pleasant. But the whole point of the matter is portion control. If you don't want to gain too much weight, then don't eat so much. And when you get to be a certain age, it just seems like you cannot get rid of the certain amount of. I mean, look at me. I've got fat around my waist, and I've got little skinny arms, and I've got no ass. And it's been, I don't know, there's nothing I can do. When I was young, I used to lift weights. I couldn't put on any muscle. But, if I drank beer, I certainly put on a beer belly. So I don't drink beer anymore, but I still can't get rid of the last bit of fat. So if you're fat, don't take it personally. But, the only thing you really have control over is your food. So anyway, you've heard it all before. Science diets for dogs, and Pritikin able to go to the fat farm for the stars in Florida, or keto diet, which I did lose some weight on too, but I didn't like it. I didn't feel well on keto diet. And then there's the paleo diet, which is all about eating meat. The vegetarians are all going to look at you and say, oh, you're a whore eating meat. Okay, what's the next one? Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Well, I mean, it sounds like, do you remember Lawrence Welk? People from white people that look like me, very skinny legs, skinny arms, maybe a little pot belly, gray hair. They all go gray at age 50, and they have tempered reason, but they have no passion. They have no, well, they've got faith in their fake God, and the tradition is basically, we're white people. We like white people. We like to have the odd black person around because clearly they've got way more passion, energy, and they just seem to enjoy life more. I mean, you watch old episodes of Lawrence Welk, and that's what it's like. The white people are. I don't want to be a white person. I would much prefer to be a black person with passion and enjoying life. I really would. My next life, if I have a choice, I'm going to be something other than white bread. Oh my God. The only thing I like about white bread people are, if they look not too muscular. Because I don't like Schwarzenegger, but the ones that get nice kind of tribal tattoos I like. And I don't have any tattoos. I was going to get it when I was drunk in Mexico one time, and I'm kind of glad. I'm very glad that I didn't do it. And I'm sure I would have got sick of it. But I do like looking at people with tattoos quite often. I just love the artistic merit in them. And then some people that do the homemade tattoos, the prison tattoos are just, oh God, please. Anyways, rule things with tempered reason. I was going to talk about presidents of the United States. There was one guy who ran, Edwin Muskie, ran for president around 1968, I think it was. And at one point, it's not even sure if it actually happened or if it was. I'll have to go look for the video. But they said that he had a tear in his eye, and the people wouldn't vote for him because they didn't want a man who had tears in his eyes. So what do you get? You get heartless people with no humanity becoming president. And these are the ones that, the strong, silent type that never cry. Well, if you get that kind of a man, well, look at the world that we're living in, because these are the kind of people that you get. I mean, Jimmy Carter might have been, I think he was the most human. Barack Obama, I know a lot of black people like Obama. I hate to say one thing or another with him. I guess it's like everyone you look at. I mean, you can look at some things that they do and you say how wonderful they are. I think he's overblown. I don't think he's... I mean, I could be wrong because, I have to look at myself and, I'm certainly imperfect too. Why would the Illuminati allow him to be president? The rich that back everything. Why would they allow him? I don't know. I'll let you meditate on it. I cannot figure it out. Everyone knows Tricky Dixie Nixon was a white man that always needed to shave. He was an alcoholic and insane. Republican, but it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, Johnson was the exact same person, but a Democrat. Let's see who else you had. Ford, who basically covered up the Kennedy assassination. The two Bushes, who were, 9/11 inside job. Either you believe it or you don't. If you don't, then I don't know. I mean, you haven't done enough research. Let's see. Anyways, these are the kind of presidents that don't cry. They have no soul and no heart, and I wouldn't vote for them. Does Donald Trump ever cry? I don't know, but the orange hair, I found out what the orange hair was all about and his orange colored skin. If you type in orange into gematria, which is like a way of converting letters to numbers, numerology, it comes out to 33, which is a great, the 33rd degree Mason is the highest you can get in Mason officially. So, it's all Masonic Illuminati, and Washington, D.C. is all about Masonic Illuminati, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so don't temper your reason. Live with passion and don't rule your passion. So I disagree with that one. But so clearly the Georgia tombstones were put up by white people from North Dakota. Okay. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. It sounds good, but everyone knows that when the evil emperor took over all the galaxy in Star Wars, this is something he would say, and I think it was in Rogue One. That's what they said. Why are the Imperial stormtroopers here? Well, it's to protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. So don't trust words. Words are meaningless. If you get to the spirit of the law instead of the words of the law, then you live in an enlightened society. But usually the lawyers are all about technicalities about the words and not what the spirit is behind the word. Okay, number 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. Everyone would agree with that, unless the petty laws are actually protecting people who need the petty laws. What's an example? Well, in Singapore, it's illegal to spit on the sidewalk or on the road. And if you live in a tiny little country like Singapore, then you don't want people spitting all over the place. But, if you have like a massive hacking spell and, you just end up spitting because it's involuntary, well, then you might get a ticket. Useless officials, everyone knows that, why do we still need license plates on cars? You go and you get your license plate and then you get your little sticker and, why do we have to carry around identification from, how many different levels of government? You have to carry a wallet everywhere you go. They have got the technology to do iris scan or fingerprints or, your facial recognition. So why do we need all of these plastic cards that we have to carry around? Why do we need so many different enforcement agencies to enforce all of these things? You couldn't possibly know all the laws that have been passed and bylaws of the cities and things. So I do agree with that one, as long as you go with the spirit of it all. The next one is balance personal rights with social duties. It's tricky. I'm trying to go faster because it's supper time. Well, rights and responsibilities. Well, if you give people too many rights, then their rights infringe upon me, because their right to this and that, the next thing means that I have to give them something. So rights and responsibilities is a slippery slope towards slavery. I have the right to own property, which means I have the right to kick you off the land because you don't own it, and I do. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that. Why is that? Well, because the 1% own everything on this planet already, and the rest of us, that's why they want to get rid of us. But, if you're a religionist, you would say, well, God created the world for all of us, and not 1% of us. So I don't believe in this personal property, vast tracts of land owned by one corporation, which is even human, or, a human family or something. And then social duties. I don't even know what they mean by social duties. We're going to have a cotillion or something, or a coming out party for social duties. What are your that? I don't know what that means. Prize, truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Words to live by. I can't criticize that. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Well, this is why they want to get rid of the humans, because they want more nature so they can go on their safari hunting expeditions in untouched lands that doesn't have, tar paper shacks with a bunch of humans living in them, FEMA camps and things. So who are the biggest cancers on the earth? Well, it's difficult to say. It's so difficult to say. Do we have too many people on the planet? Is it a planet? Leave room for nature. Well, the big cities are too big, there are too many people, and you can't afford to live there. I don't know. It reminds me of it was a movie and then a TV show called Logan's Run, where when you turned 30, you were executed. The story of, I think it was Prince Krishna. His father didn't want him to know that people grew old, or some people were disfigured or disabled or missing limbs and things. So anyone that was like that was banned from the capital city walls when the child grew up, and only saw people who were basically like Logan's Run, perfect people who were young and pretty. And it wasn't until one day when he escaped the central area that he saw that the kingdom was full of all kinds of old people and, people who didn't fit perfection. And it was quite a wake-up call to Mr. Krishna. Or was it Buddha? I think it was Buddha. Yes, Prince Siddhartha. I had that wrong. Prince Siddhartha. So that's the story of Siddhartha. And Herman Hesse did a version of Siddhartha that is a very good book if you're looking for a book. That is the end of my lecture about the Georgia Stones. I hope you enjoyed it.